And like Masterclass is just a cool freaking company. And so I was like, okay, this is the number one company I want to work for. And I want to be a community manager there. Boom. I know what I wanted to do. Now it was time for me to make it happen. So I reached out to a bunch of people on LinkedIn strategically that I felt were the right people in the right department and also decision makers. And I, a lot of people didn't respond and some people did. And all it takes is one. And so I got coffee with the girl at the time who was the community manager, and she was sharing her experience, and we just bonded over coffee. And she was like, you know what? There's actually a temp community builder role coming up that I think you'd be perfect for.
I recommend this book for anyone who is like, if you just quit or you've been laid off or are going through any sort of life change. There's a book called Designing Your Life. Statistically, if you meet with 100 people, we'll like loosely guarantee that you'll find your next best job in your career path. And so I just sort of took that very literally. And I was like, well, I've got 90 days of savings. So I was like, I'm going to do 100 coffees, 100 Zoom coffees, just 30 minutes each. Well, it's 30 minutes to an hour, it depended. I'm going to do 100 over the next 90 days. And that was the single most impactful thing I have ever done for my career journey in general. And it's the reason that I landed on consulting. And it's the reason that I had clientele for my first year and a half of my work.
I think you create the opportunities that you want. Don't wait for something to happen. Just create them yourself. One day I got an email, a newsletter from them mentioning that they're hiring a community manager. Didn't really know what the role was or what it entailed, but I was kind of trying to make a pivot from what I was doing full-time freelancing at the time. And so I just emailed them back and was like, hey, like, would love to chat about this. Is it open? And they were like, hey, honestly, we're thinking about you when we wrote this role. I was like, I'm just going to send Rick, who's their CEO, message on Slack and just be like, hey, like, I'm really looking to get a role in community. I've just finished this program. This is my experience. It was a very just casual message. I was not expecting anything of it. Sent him a message and then he like replies back like pretty quickly. And he's like, hey, like, really great to hear from you. We're actually looking to hire for a role like this. Let me put you in touch with our product manager.
I basically kept on building it out and ended up reaching out to the team. And they, I think they knew they knew what I was up to because I was not just doing that. I had also started a Facebook group about Notion and was teaching people to use Notion, and I was buying all these Notion domains and like launching. I got really into it, and so I met the team, and Camille, who joined as like the first marketer, had just joined Notion, and she was like, "Oh, let's work together. Let's do something together."
I didn't have a LinkedIn account when I started Common Surfing. Like I didn't have a professional network really. So it was kind of a way of like, I think I had a couple hundred Twitter followers when we started it. So the first 400 or 500 subscribers and members of the community, it was basically me being on LinkedIn, being like, hey, you're in community. Do you want to join our community?
I think the best thing you can do in your 20s is make as many connections as possible. It's going to expose you to a lot of opportunities that are going to help you build the life that you ultimately want. When I moved to New York, I think I got a coffee chat with like, I don't even know, like 50 people the first like 50 days. Like went on Twitter, anyone that had New York in their bio, I DM'd. If I needed like a new job, I wouldn't actually go and ask my best friend because they already know me. If they found a job that was like perfect for me, they already would have told me. I'm going to go ask the person that like would never reach out to me, but I barely know because they know a whole new world that's underutilized by me.